Square Nation, welcome to the Four Corners, the official live podcast of No Counters, No Combos. I'm here with my co-host, my better half, as some might say, Matt Manning. What's good, my
What's
boy?
up?
What you up to?
I'm living, man. I'm living. I'm in the regional prep mode right now. Been gaming a lot and been feeling good about the format. What we been up to on your end?
Well, I've been doing a lot of nothing, really. Just kind of working, trying to save money, living the American dream. There's not much that goes into it here at the Squared Nation compound. With all that being said, any next couple of weeks, my wife would be due, so we're expecting our fourth child, which is really nice. Another
Insert applause.
insert applause, yeah. Another one to add to the team, to the squad here at the No Counters No Combos HQ.
Love it. Love
But other than just real life stuff, there's a lot of stuff that I want to talk about. That just happened recently with the Too Many Games regional. Shout out to PPG for hosting a really good event. The first thing I want to talk about in regards to the regional, I want to talk about the format itself, like the structure of how games are played. I think we might have touched on this at some point, whether it was the last time we got together or in one of our earlier podcasts. A lot of games, in my experience recently, have been going into time. So I want to get your perspective on: do you think best of three should just be kind of done with and just only allowed in Top Cut, and just do like best of one, as like the major format, and then do like best of three in Top Cut? Or do you think that there's still room for best of three as long as they give more time for these rounds?
So I'm kind of on either side of the argument, but I have a couple of reasons that I think BO1 Pre-Side for Swiss is the superior format. First things first, deck building becomes easier and harder at the same time. I'll explain that. So it becomes easier because you can include the cards that you want to include, but it also becomes harder because you need to know your matchups, because you're siding when you see a leader. You
Right.
might not know what version of a leader, what's popular in the room, what cards they're going to rely on in their strategy. So I think that aspect of BO1 Pre-Side is great. I think the rounds could probably be a little longer. I think it was 30 minutes at that event. I hope that they bump it to like 40. I don't think any game should go to time in BO1 Pre-Side. It's one game. One game of Dragon Ball, unless you're playing Hatch, should go to 40 minutes is fine. But when it comes to best of three, I think it is still the superior skill-based format.
Okay.
Because you have to understand everything that you need to know for a BO1 Pre-Side, but you also need to rely on the fact that your main deck is built correctly, and that you're siding correctly for game 2, knowing if you're going first or second, and then if you're residing for game 3, and you need to have the stamina to make it through. So I think making Top Cut best of 3 is great, and I think BO1 Pre-Side's like the perfect Swiss format, because events don't last nearly as long, and people enjoy them more. I personally that seems to be what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head in regards to the time. I don't think we live in a world where best of three can be played in an hour, or best of one game can be played in 30 minutes. The way the format has shifted recently, like aggro is I don't want to say non-existent, but it's as close to non-existent as it's going to get. And those type of aggro decks is what checks mid-range, late game decks. So with that not being prevalent in the format, you kind of run into the situation where everything is going to turn 4, turn 5. I can comfortably say I feel like most decks are killing turn 5. Like that's the big kill turn is turn 5 right now. So
I agree with that.
With that being said, you're talking it's turn 5 for one person, but it's essentially 10 energy that's being charged. So you're talking about turn 10, and that's good for the health of the game and the longevity of the game, because I think there's a large amount of players in the community that prefer going into later game states because they get to actually play the game, and not everything is being played for significantly less energy, which I think is fine. However, the impact of these turns is what either prolongs the game or cuts the game off. Like, I think Cell wins on turn 5 because it does its combo, it does Cell X and whatever it does. There are other decks that play their bosses or their bombs on turn 5, but they're not necessarily winning on turn 5. They might be winning on turn 6 or turn 7. So I think we really have to look at it, and Bandai also needs to look at it and understand that, yes, even though aggressive decks in a resource-based game can snowball and get out of control, it's a necessary evil to check mid-range and late-game decks.
Okay. I think that raises an interesting point because we really don't have a powerhouse aggro deck. I would say that GT and U7 are fairly similar in the fact that on turn 2 they can put out a lot of damage very, very cheaply and still maintain a lot of advantage at a higher life total. For example, I was playing, shout out to Sam over at my crew at Dice Head. We're playing a best of 3, and in game 2, I was able to kill his Unison on my turn 2. I went first, and I killed the GT Unison because he missed. He was one marker short of having one more marker to survive. He was tapped out, and I swung with 17. I swung with Frieza. I swung with lead, and that was 7 damage, right? 2, 3, 4, 5 damage. Sorry, that was 5 markers, and then he couldn't play the game. Right. So I think that aggro definitely exists, but I think it is a lot more in check, especially because of how intense King Piccolo and Gogeta Xeno were. I think they'll come back with some aggro decks soon. I think there are definitely some sleepers in the format. U7 Gohan being one, playing some bodies pretty cheap and flooding the board. But I don't think we need turn 2, turn 3 kills anymore. Mainly, I think because people enjoy playing the game, like you said. So as much as I loved playing aggro, like I was someone who played Gogeta Xeno for a very long time, who played Starter Vegeta when it was the red-green Piccolo Jr. version, Surge Broly, like all those aggro red-green red decks that kill fast. While those are fun, I think they can negatively affect the health of the game. So I think leaving turn 2, turn 3 kills out, like if an aggro deck wants to kill you on 3 and 4, that's fine. You should have your defense established by then.
Right.
I mean, if you're losing to a deck on 3 or 4, sorry.
Yeah.
But I think that there are also a lot of chances past turn 3 and 4 where you're going to see those cards that in a BO1 pre-side you have sided in for this matchup. And that's the other advantage, I think, to this format. Is you look at a matchup like Cell. So as a UI player, I know I'm siding in my Deborahs. I know I'm siding in probably a Shin to slow them down on my 3, their 4. I'll probably side in maybe a Korin Tower Secret Medicine if they're playing some Bearer Spice. But I know I'm also going to keep my Vegeta Resolve Renewed in the main because I'm going to be able to deal with it. But I might take out Crown, for example, because Crown of Retribution just isn't good in that green matchup, I should say. So you have to know what you're going to side out. But by 3 or 4, I'm going to have seen a couple Deborah. I might have seen a Shin. I might have seen these answers to hand control, these answers to yellow deck draws .deck. Like you're going to see your answers. So I think the format's in a good spot right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's in a good spot overall. I mean, obviously, we want it to be not in a good spot. We want it to be in the greatest spot it could possibly be at.
Oh, 100%.
So we were just, looking at it objectively and trying to figure out what is missing or what we're lacking or what there's too much of. And I think that in a perfect world, you want there to be as much balance as possible. And when you completely remove essentially a playstyle from the game, it becomes very, two-sided, as opposed to, we fall in love with terms like triangle format and, stuff like that. And Dragon Ball has always notoriously been a very triangle format based game. And right now, there's no triangle because it's either mid-range or late game.
Open.
Yeah, it's super wide open. There's nothing. It's just play the game. And I think it comes down to a lot of, like you said, matchup knowledge and player skill. I mean, if we look at too many games, Bulma won Danny Wynn won with Bulma, and Danny Wynn hasn't played in months, years. Yeah, he hasn't played. I mean, shout out to Danny. He's a great player, good guy. You know, I'm not taking anything away from him, but Dragon Ball has become the player dependent game, and I was jokingly saying it a couple of weeks ago. We're in a spot where you could just kind of play whatever you want, play what makes you happy, and that's a pretty valid statement at this point. I think. Oh, they're gonna make me shoot this. Anyway, so moving on, again, congratulations to Danny Wynn for the Bulma. That's nobody had that on their radar.
Listen, Crossworld had it. That deck is something, man. You got to deal with it quick.
Yeah, you definitely do. But I'm excited for what that means for creativity. I mean, I think a lot of the times, I don't want to use the term net deck, but a lot of the times you get influence off of what other people are playing and what other people have had success with. And not that it completely shuts off creativity, but it limits it a little bit because obviously we're in a day and age where you have to play X amount of cards, that are engine specific. Like Trunks has to play a 12, 16 card engine, and then he could play just good stuff. So
good yellow cards.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited to see where the creativity is going to go. Like I think, that's what kind of makes me get up in the morning is just seeing where everybody's head's at. Because we're all different, and we all like playing different things. So I'm excited that, we've had Bulma win. We've had Worse Soul Striker win an event. So I'm excited to see what else everybody's, been cooking up. And the best thing about it is when you're playing against decks like that you don't necessarily account for, they catch you. They catch you off guard. I mean, it's a gotcha. It's just like, I have no, I don't think nobody cited for Bulma because it wasn't on anybody's radar. And I think that's the beauty of the variety in the format.
So I like looking at this top cut. I pulled the image up on Facebook. Shout out to PvP for these sweet graphics.
Yeah, for sure.
So all of Top Cut, Gamma 1 and Gamma 2, Trunks Vegeta, Cooler, Bulma, SS3, Cell, and Goku, Pan, and Trunks. And there was one UI.
So that was what, top 16 or top 32?
Top 16.
Okay, so 16 and what? 10 different decks?
That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different decks. Yeah, 8 different decks. So what's amazing about that is they're different colors. We have a green deck. We have 2 different blue decks. We have a yellow deck. We have 2 different red decks. No, we don't have black or... Yeah, black's the other color. We have almost every color in here. Black isn't relevant right now. It's upsetting, but yeah, I mean this format is so absolutely wide open, and I'm excited to see what other older leaders people can try to bring back. Bulma has always been a step away from being busted, and something I definitely want to talk about is this baby unison that we've been talking about for months now. That this card is going to be really good. It's going to be really good. Be aware of it. Buy your copies early, and sure enough, it is the center point of 2 of the 3 top red decks. And there's a reason for that. And it's I like that Bandai has continued to print these generic good cards that you also have to maybe warp your strategy around a little bit. You can't just play a 3-cost red unison in every deck.
Yep.
It's just not viable. Yep. You can try to do it in Broly Surge, but you're gonna feel bad awakening on 3 and not swinging at them.
Right.
It just doesn't fit in everything. It fits in these mid-rangey, control-y red decks, which is awesome. And I like that you can play other strategies in different colors now. The fact that I can play aggro red or I can play control red is so exciting to me. Because I get to use my favorite staples, but I can also switch my playstyle.
Sure, absolutely. And I think that's like what you mentioned, and real quick shout out to Zevi, as Dylan reminded me in the chat. Zevi was able to crack top 16, so shout out to him. Playing Trunks Vegeta, great player. Cash. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked here. I hit a green bean from 3, so
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. But yes, I mean Dragon Ball being a game with multiple colors, everybody selfishly wants every color to have some sort of stability in the game, and for the longest time, green was. I don't want to say unplayable, but you were brave if you were playing green. Even though, like, if you think about it, like, green has had really good unisons, really good counterplays, really good floodgates, but
Always.
it's just their
Bad
strategies. Yeah, it really comes down to bad leaders. So I'm excited that every color has representation, in the meta. That's always nice. I wish there was a little bit more black, but
Different representation.
Yes,
That's
yes.
the cool thing. Like, we have GT, U7, and Bulma. We have SS3 Reboot. We have Gamma, which I think is just super neat that deck's topping. Listen, the deck's really good, but it's really forgiving to misplays.
Oh, sure. I mean, a lot of blue
we'll get on
decks.
that later,
Yeah,
but-
a lot of blue decks are like that, though. To be
Let's
fair.
just, yeah, oh, absolutely. And it's something that I noticed, like, a lot of people are hyping up this Gamma deck, and I'm not saying that it's bad, but I'm 100% not going to agree that it is, like, tier 0, tier 1.
No.
Yes, there were 5 in Top Cut, but people stopped siding for blue because
Yeah.
it doesn't really exist.
Right.
But that's another note.
Right. Yeah, I think if you want to go back to the origins of the helmet deck, blue has always kind of been notoriously the helmet color, with SS3 and then Janemba. You just kind of strap it on real tight and just play the game, and it rewards bad play, really. But
100%.
I think just reading Gamma on paper, it seems really good. It seems though that, like, I don't know how to explain it, but it seems like it's not going to go anywhere from where it's at. Like, that's it.
So Gamma's one of those decks that any blue-green card or any red ribbon card is going to be support. So if you look at cards like Android 18, I think it's Let the Battle Begin, Battle Begins or whatever, that card's great. It's a 1-cost counterplay that spins something to the bottom, which is something that blue very sorely needs. And you can play it because it's an Android. So you're going to be able to utilize that card to stop things like floodgates. You're going to be able to utilize that card to stop just so many different tools on your opponent's turn. So Gamma has a lot of tools, and I think they're going to continue to support it because they always love supporting their movies.
Yeah.
Just look at Gogeta BR and how many
Yeah,
archetypes that
that's fair.
character got.
That's fair.
I mean, I'm a Gogeta fanboy. I loved it.
Yeah.
But you look at, like, how many archetypes that got. Broly BR, how long that deck's been getting support for. I'm pretty sure that deck got a promo, like, last set. Granted, it was garbage, but like, those decks have been continuing to get support. Granted, Limits Transcended got a Gen Con reprint.
Yeah.
Like, I'll get to those. Dollar store S.
Yeah.
Bro, they look like the Pokemon cards I used to find at the comic shop in an alley. Oh, they're so bad.
They look like
so-
Yu-Gi-Oh used to have this product that was called Hidden Arsenal, and basically, like, it was a booster pack set that supported, like, different archetypes from their Hidden Arsenal storyline. So there was, like, whatever teams there were, or whatever, right? And then each pack had, like, a secret rare, and then every other card was foil. I think it was, like, Hidden Arsenal 3 or 4. They had, like, these rare, like rare as in, like, common, uncommon, rare. They had these rare foils that looked like it was just like an image, and then it was like a foil sticker just, like, pasted on there that you got from, like, a 25-cent machine. It was bad. And
Yeah,
that's
I
what
hope those cards look
and
better
that's what these
IRL,
Gen Con
'cause-
promos look like.
Dude, they look so bad. And they pick decent cards. Like picking Boo Unison, Divine Presence, Divine Transformation.
Yeah.
Like, those are good picks, but God, they look so bad. Like, the only one I kind of like are Feign Greeting and Divine Presence, because they're just cards that I play. But other than that, not great.
I think the Vegeta, the overrun Vegeta. A shout out to Reginald Patterson in the chat. He said the Blue Eye Shining Dragon Yu-Gi-Oh stickers. That's exactly what I'm talking about. They look that bad. So at least he's picking up what I'm putting down, so he gets it. But reprints are always going to be nice. But
Always.
I think like We're talking.
It's going to be the
this
first
is,
set of tournament exclusive promos that are cheaper than the normal cards.
Yes, 100%.
For
We're talking
real,
about
100, no collector wants those cards.
This is Gen Con we're talking about. This is supposed to be like, you know, the holy grail of conventions, or so to speak, or maybe not the holy grail. I think San Diego Comic-Con is still the holy grail, but
yeah, well, it's one of those that's a big deal, and like they hyped up the event all year, and they're like, we're gonna do all these cool reprints, and then they showed off that Frieza, and we were like, okay, I hope the rest look better, and then they don't.
Yeah, they definitely did not. Somebody fell asleep on that one.
They looked worse. They let the intern do the art.
It is what it is. I mean, if it's gonna put more cards, do I have the lane? Let's go. It's gonna put more cards in fluctuation for people to attain
100%.
them, so that's fine. And you know, they're gonna be it's gonna be a very limited set. You know, at least there's some bragging, like, yeah, I have these Gen Con promos. You know, like they're not gonna be worth anything. Yeah, they're not gonna be worth anything, but hey, at least you have them, and that's half the battle right there.
100%.
So yes, Gen Con, that's really good. Speaking of cons, though, we might be going a little bit off topic, but not really, since it's all Dragon Ball related. How do you feel about events being held inside of conventions?
I'm not a big fan of it because my wallet hurts.
Yeah.
So TCG Con I did not mind because it was a cheaper convention ticket.
Sure.
But Otakon, man, it's an $85 ticket. I just dropped $85. That's before a flight, before lodging, before food, before the event.
Yeah, that's rough.
I get it. I know why they do it.
Sure.
You're gonna have a crowd there. It's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be crowded. Like you love the eyes on the game. It's easier to do an event at a con, I'm sure. But it is just not doable for everyone. And like I'm fortunate that I've, busted my tail at work. I'm going to be able to afford it. But I mean, if I didn't do as well as I've done this fiscal quarter, I would not have been able to go.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I was reading, shout out to Joey from Crossworld TCG. I was reading his post about like just feedback from the event, and it was like a $30 event entry, and then it was like an $80 con entry. So that plus travel plus room and board plus food, like you're talking about easily a couple $100 in a weekend that you're spending.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're lucky enough to eat some of the cost on lodging by staying with friends or whatnot, sure. But
that's where the cons kind of like, it'll ease a little bit of cost, is like if you're able to lodge with friends and drive down with friends and split gas costs, But like I had to do a flight. Like I'm fortunate. Shout out to Tristan who's gonna pick me up, but I'm doing a flight because DC's a 7-8 hour drive and I got to leave on a Friday. So since I would like to make it for Team Wars, I bit the bullet and did a flight, and those aren't cheap either.
No.
Like, and you got to think about people that are even further than me.
Yep.
Like, I'm far out from DC, but there are people that are going to want to go from, like, the Midwest. You're going to talk about, like, Georgia, Florida. These guys got a ways to go, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and, Dylan was saying here in the chat, it's like $105 for the full weekend. And if you weren't fortunate enough to do well early, that's $105 expense you're never going to recover. And listen, obviously, that you're a competitive event like that, you're taking risks financially. Can I just get one here? Game, let's go. Walk off. That you're taking a financial risk, and it doesn't come down to, am I going to make my money back? That's really that's the last thing people think of is when they do these things.
100%.
Like, you're not in there to try to you make your money back, but at the same time, you don't want to go and then just like scrub out like by round 2, and then it's just tough. Here, Kevin in the chat is saying he spent $430 on the 3-day pass for both Digimon and DBS events. Kevin, are you talking about Gen Con or Otakon? Which one are you talking about? Let me know in the comments.
I think that might have been too many games. I know that one, they had an event there too.
Yeah, so listen, I understand that it's a lot of he's talking about Gen Con. So perfect example, $430 on 3-day passes for 2 events. That's a lot of money. That's a lot. I mean, granted, you're going for the experience, you're going for the gameplay, you're going to chill with the boys. I get it. there's a lot
Oh,
of
100%.
there's a lot of positives, but we're talking about, you know, we're talking about these con events, like they're going to be the new norm, and I understand why they're doing it now, because, you know, after COVID and trying to get people back in buildings, it's just less expensive. There's less of an overhead,
Yeah.
you know, for these venues. So I get it, but I really do hope that at some point they go back to you know, doing these events like they used to, which is just rent out a space and just hold your particular event. Now, I don't know if PPG is willing to do that, because they prefer these cons, but that's how it used to be back in the day. And I'm not trying to be like a curmudgeon or anything like that. Like, I understand the value of
SAT
having.
word, my
Yeah,
God.
you like that. I got a 1400
That
on
was
my
impressive,
SAT.
dude. My God.
You know, that was good. That was good. You know, I understand, you know, a couple of times a year, like if you want to do a Gen Con, or if you want to do like a San Diego Comic Con, or if you want to do like a New York Comic Con, like that's fine, a couple times a year. But if you're going to have it
100%.
defaulted to every single event, it's going to get a little difficult for people to, because we want to travel to as many events as possible because we enjoy the game and we like playing the game on that type of a level, but it does get a little costly doing so, and you don't know everybody's situation, so it's just really tough to do that.
Yeah, it's difficult, and I'm definitely not one to really complain, because I've just gotten into competitive play recently, and I'm loving every single minute of it. I really am. Like, I absolutely, it's like it's addicting. That energy, the competitiveness, like it is so much fun. But it's very, very hard for me to justify, whether it be gas money, a plane ticket, hotel room. Stuff's expensive right now, and everything's going up everywhere. So when you see stuff like
funny guy.
No, I'm not
stuff like Otakon, stuff like Gen Con, these huge events, and they have so much hype around them, and they're gonna have so many people there, and that's amazing. But no one can get there because no one can afford it.
Yeah, listen, we all live in the same world, okay?
Right.
Gas is astronomical right now. Food is ridiculously overpriced right now. Like, it's a lot, and I know that it's not Bandai's responsibility to take all that into consideration, nor is it PPG's responsibility. Nor, I'm not saying it's anybody's responsibility. What I'm saying is I want the collective minds to come together and try to figure out what the best way to do it, the most cost-effective way to do it. That way you can have, you know, we can start getting, you know, 3, 4, dare I say 500 people events. Like, you know, we haven't had events like that in years, and
100%.
there's a lot of factors that go into it. You know, comfortability is a lot. You know, the still looming negativity of the pandemic and everything like that. So, you know, to each their own, but it starts with affordability. If you can make it affordable for everybody, then more people will come. If you build it, they will come, bro.
They will come.
Hell yeah.
No doubt.
Hell yeah. Money.
Love the baseball quote sounded playing a basketball game.
Yeah, I know. I'm all over the place today.
Yeah, completely.
So yes, they also announced today in the Facebook group, Nats is going to be held in Orlando. Yeah, I think it's Kissimmee, but it's like right outside Orlando.
Yeah, it's right outside Disney.
Yeah. So are you going?
When I get my invite, absolutely.
Now, for those of you who don't know, there's a couple of different ways you can get invites, okay? Invites are being handed out at LGS Shop Championships. You just gotta obviously check with your...
I'm going to go ahead and take that down once we get the prizing.
Make sure that you are signed up for those. And then there's also last-minute Gunslinger qualifying events at the venue itself. So if you just want to take a trip... Yeah. So if you just want to take a trip to Orlando, I think last year what they did is they ran 4-man pods. And basically, like, if you won your 4-man pod, you got your invite. That's usually going to be...
4 or 8.
Yeah, that's usually going to be the day before the main event, so it's probably going to be on the Friday. So for those of you who are listening, if you're not able to, secure your national invite through Shop Championships, you do have your last-minute qualification opportunity to do so. I'm kind of on the fence about this year. December is right around the corner. December is Christmas season, and I have kids and a wife, so it might be a little tough, but I will try to try and get an invite through a shop championship if I'm able to do so. But yeah, listen, anybody out there who is planning on doing this, definitely, bring your A game, but I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't mean like bring your A game because you're a scrub. No, I mean like just make sure that you're ready, because look at what happened at Too Many Games. Everybody tested, everybody was so ready for the meta, and the meta wasn't even what they expected. It was Red Bulma. So,
and that's the beauty of this game.
The other thing too, though, the other thing when it comes to that, okay, is preparation. Okay, we fall into this trap of when we're prepping for these events. We fall into these traps of testing or practicing against the decks that we quote unquote consider meta. But 9 times out of 10. The decks, it's going to be a rogue matchup. It's going to be something that you didn't even remember existed. It's going to be something that has a cheeky interaction that you didn't know. So, like, just keep your mind open. Don't always assume that you're going to see the same 3 to 4 decks in a room. The last big event that I went to, and this was a long time ago, but I was playing Kid Ku. I was playing blue Kid Ku. And my first 3 rounds, easy peasy, because it was meta decks that I tested against. My 4th round, I lost against Rob Russo. We were on table 3. He was playing Broly, Yellow Broly, like Yellow Broly Victory Strike. I just couldn't beat him. And then from that moment forward, I just snowballed and spiraled out, and I lost to decks that I didn't expect. I lost to a Trader Dende deck. I lost to a Janemba mill deck that was playing different cards that I wasn't used to seeing, and it kind of caught me off guard. If I would have prepared myself a little bit better, then, but that all comes with understanding what's available in the card pool. Could be a little difficult because we're going on into set 17 now, but just keep an open mind is basically, that's the best tip I can ever give anybody.
I think that thought with keeping an open mind with especially what's going to be in the room, and people are going to hate on me for saying this. This is where I think Untap shines as a testing platform.
Sure.
Because if I jump into a random game, odds are I'm going to see a deck that is either A, not meta, B, meta, and the player is mid to subpar, or C, it's going to be some wacky nonsense. For example, shout out to Mario on Untap. He's one of the guys that hangs out on there a lot. He has a Videl deck that is absolutely spiced out of this world. It's an incredibly cool interaction that I'm not going to spoil. But decks like that are going to show up at events, and people are going to see Videl charge a blue energy. And they're like, what? What is that?
Yeah.
That's a bad deck, and then you're gonna get comfy and you're gonna overextend,
and you're gonna get clapped.
Kill you on turn 3.
Oh,
so there's so many neat interactions. Decks like Vegito Blue, nobody's playing it right now, but that deck has some heat to it.
Dude, that deck is disgusting. Right, Awakening with 8 life is really, really strong.
Yeah, well, and it's also got access to that new 17-18 unit.
Yep.
And these are decks that you're not going to test against unless you've seen them in action. So I think a lot of people get comfortable with the format. And the other way to do that is like you said, is card pool knowledge. Build decks constantly. That's something I did when I was first starting out, is I would constantly build these random interaction decks where it was one little thing that I was trying to do, get off Yamcha at 100% 3 times in a turn.
Oh, I love that card.
So good, but you just deck out. But so good. Cards like that are so much fun
Thank you so much.
to use, but it's not good right now. But a leader like Burnhan, who knows? It draws an okay amount of cards. It's a red leader. It has access to red staples. It's a red Saiyan. So you build on these tags, and you're thinking, okay, is that a deck that might show up? Probably not. But watch me play Burnhan round 1 at Otakon. These are all possible things. So I think looking at the card pool and constantly scrolling through leaders, looking at reading those effects closely,
I'm good.
it's
Great to
just
finally meet you in
awesome.
person, MP.
And I love how wide open
Nice to
it
meet
is.
you all.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Can we
At the
get
end of the
anything?
day,
Coffee or LaCroix?
the more variety there is in a certain metagame, the better the longevity for the game is going to be, because it's never going to truly feel stale. I mean, there might be certain strategies that outshine others just because of power creep or just, broken mechanics or whatever the case may be, but, options and accessibility to a wide card pool is always gonna leave, not that you're second guessing it, but it's always going to leave that option that you might be overlooked or might find a niche role in the deck that you're trying to play. I joke around all the time. I love playing quote unquote bad decks. I love playing, decks that you just kind of, they're hodgepodgey. They're just kind of thrown together. Setu Zamasu. A set one Gohan, tap 6, blow up the board.
The
stuff
best
like
green leader
that.
in existence.
Exactly.
Draw to awaken, dude.
Exactly. Like that's what it's all about. It's about having fun. It's experimenting, knowing what doesn't work, and trying to find out what does. So just keep an open mind for that.
100%.
So moving on to our last topic for today, and I want to shout everybody out in the chat: Reginald, Kevin, Dylan, everybody for interacting. I really do appreciate it, guys. If you ever want to be on the podcast with Matt and myself, all you really need is some type of Sony console, whether it's a PS4 or a PS5. We'll get in the party chat and you guys can chat it up with us.
We don't mess with Microsoft here.
Yeah, we're not Microsoft boys here. But the last topic we're going to be talking about is the upcoming feature film, Dragon Ball Super Superhero. I don't want to get into any spoiler details. Just based off of trailers.
I've been staying away.
Yes, just based off of trailers and stuff that you've seen. How excited on a scale of 1 to 10 are you?
Oh, I'm stoked, dude. I'm a Gohan fanboy just like you. Like I've always just since Cell, he's just been the dude, and seeing he's the main focal point. And also getting to go back to the Red Ribbon Army and stuff like that, that's so exciting. Getting to see old villains with new tricks up their sleeves. And, it's Android, so they might have that similar key feature to the 17 and 18, and Piccolo's got a starring role, and we get to see a little bit of Broly, a little bit of Beerus, a little bit of Frieza because he's been in those trailers.
Don't worry about it.
It's just going to be awesome, and I know regardless of the plot, I'm going to go and I'm going to sit there and scream in the theater like a kid because it's going to be an absolute blast.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time, and that's what it should be. It should be a good time. I am not a big anime guy. I've watched animes here and there. I do enjoy a lot of the Studio Ghibli stuff. I will say that. But Dragon Ball was my first real introduction into anime, into manga, into that Japanese animation culture. So I hold a very, dear spot in my heart for it. It was kind of like my gateway anime to all the nerd culture stuff that the IP offers. But for me, the coolest thing about Dragon Ball is the gallery of characters that it has, and I'm glad that for the first time in a long time, the focal point is not going to be Goku or Vegeta. There are other really interesting characters. There are characters that you can make the argument that have more character development than Goku and Vegeta themselves. I mean, Vegeta has probably the greatest character arc of anyone in Dragon Ball, but there are a lot of other interesting characters, the Z Fighters, the hybrid Saiyan human characters. There's so many different characters that Dragon Ball has brought us, that Toriyama has brought us, and to put the spotlight and shift it from Goku and Vegeta, because that is the age-old question. If Goku and Vegeta are ever off-world, are not available, who's the next person that's going to step up and deal with all the bad guys? So I like that they're doing that. I also like that it's kind of coming full circle. Because in Dragon Ball, which was the start of everything, when Goku was a kid, the Red Ribbon Army played a really big role in the Dragon Ball anime, and now it's kind of coming full circle to where you're seeing that mirror of Goku and Red Ribbon, and now you're seeing Gohan and Red Ribbon. I think Gohan has a little more on the line because he has children, or he has a child, but it's really nice to see that that dichotomy between the two different characters. And, you know, obviously Gohan is my favorite character, but I think it's even been said in the anime or in the manga, he's the character that has the most potential, but he's also the character that has been wasted the most, I think. So I'm excited to see what they're going to bring to the table with that.
Yeah, this has been a great summer of media for me because we've got the Dragon Ball movie coming up. The Boys Season 3 is in full swing.
The pleasure's all ours. And look, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate
good
to
summer
reach
for
out.
media.
Yeah, I still need to watch Season 2. I haven't even watched Season 2 of The Boys.
So good, dude.
Have a good day.
Have a good one, ladies.
I love Season 1.
Good.
Don't get me wrong. I loved Season 1. It was great.
It's such a good show.
So yeah, I'm excited for a lot of things. I'm kind of, peel back the layers, peel back the onion a little bit, give you guys a little inside scoop. I'm going to get real close to the mic for this. I'm thinking about doing like a watch party for the Dragon Ball superhero movie. Like maybe renting out the theater for like whoever wants to come and watch. So but we'll keep that on the down low for now, and we'll revisit that at some point. But listen, Matt, with that being said, anything you wanna say or share before we get on out of here?
If any of you see me, I'm gonna say it every day until we get to Otakon. If anyone sees me over there, I'm gonna try and wear my no counters no combos hat at the event. So if anyone sees me at the event, you want to come say hi, I'm always down to make new friends and chat. I'm always trying to grow the community down here in Tennessee. So, if you know anyone that's close in the North Carolina, South Carolina area, if you know anyone in the, Georgia, maybe Alabama area, if anyone's looking for a community, something to join, hit up Dice Head Games in Cleveland, Tennessee. Always trying to grow the community. We just got a couple of new members. We're up to like 6 guys regularly now, and we're growing.
That's beautiful to hear. I will also shamelessly plug our locals up here in PA. If you're in the northeastern PA area, or if you're in the tri-state area and you're not too far away from Stroudsburg, feel free to come visit Gamer's Edge on Main Street. We have our Dragon Ball Super tournaments every Saturday at 7 p.m. If it's a best of 3, we start a little earlier, but for the most part, we do best of 1s with pre-side. Listen, it's gonna sound a little biased because it's my current LGS, but it is the greatest store that I've ever been a part of, and I've been a part of a few when I lived in Jersey. So I'm definitely happy that Dan does a good job of running the store. So does Eddie. So shout out to those guys. You can check them out online. The information will be in the description box down below. But with that being said, we're gonna get on out of here. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and please, for the love of God, hit the notification bell so you get notified when we go live. We try to go live every Wednesday around 9 p.m. These are a lot of fun. You should share and bask in the ambiance with us and just chit-chat. That's what we're doing. We're just talking about Dragon Ball. We're going to get on out of here, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Be there or be squared.
Later, gamers.